Hello and welcome to another episode of 5 on 5, 5 at 5 on a Friday. I'm Minette Tonoli and let's take a walk through the garden. Today it seems like I'm stuck on things starting with a T. So we're going to have a look at some thyme, tomatillos, tomatoes and tansy. And with the tansies I'm going to look at common tansy and Phacelia or lacy tansy. Let's start with the thyme. The thyme I'm talking about today is specifically a little creeping thyme, also known as mother of thyme or Thymus cereipilum. And this is the gorgeous little one over here. Just like common thyme, you can use the leaves in your food, and it also has all the same medicinal qualities as common thyme. Low growing, and with its beautiful little pink flowers in summer, it makes a fantastic carpet or mat forming ground cover. I actually particularly like how just by accident these two ground covers go so beautifully together. The big purple leaves over here is a juga, which is also a herb, and we'll chat about that in a different episode. And the ajuga, this flower is done now, but they make beautiful purple flowers, a little bit more upright, and combined with the pink and the low mat forming foliage of this creeping thyme, it really makes a nice combination. Look how they're growing in amongst each other there. Really pretty. The next plant I want to talk to you about is the tomatillo, or the green Mexican husk tomato. The variety that I'm growing here specifically is called Grande Verde, big green. And tomatillo actually means little tomato. Now the tomatillo makes fruit in these papery husks, very similar to a Cape gooseberry. Cape gooseberry being a cousin of this guy. And they both belong to the nightshade family, the Solanaceae family. Tomatillos have the same cultivation requirements as tomatoes, so however you grow your tomatoes would be good for your tomatillos too. Starting with planting them deep, so up to 2/3 of the plant can go into the soil at planting time, ensuring that they create a good strong root system. They grow up to about 1 meter, and they've got a sprawling habit, so it's best to stake them or to grow them in a tomato cage. It's best to grow more than one tomatillo plant to ensure cross-pollination, following the bumblebee going from the one plant to the other plant, cross-pollinating beautifully. And you know your tomatillo is ripe and ready when the fruit has swollen and starts to break open the papery husk. It's said that when the husk is still intact but the fruit is really filling it out is the best time to pick them. So this one behind me is Phacelia or lacy tansy, and I grow it as part of my flower boxes around my vegetable garden to attract pollinators. So Phacelia is known to attract bees. Phacelia or lacy tansy, and this bumblebee is having a party. Phacelia is a really pretty plant to grow in a wildflower or mixed flower border as part of a pollinator patch, and because they have a long flowering period, they are very attractive in a flower border. Bumblebee is really having a good time at that. And not just bumblebees, but honeybees too. Lacy tansy can also be grown as a cover crop, when you grow in between seasons, a cover crop, and can be dug into the soil as a green manure. Beautiful ferny-like foliage. A little bit similar to common tansy. I guess that's why they call it lacy tansy. Phacelia tanacetifolia. I've got some common tansy growing in the center of one of my vegetable beds as a insect repellent. Now tansy is actually an old medicinal herb, quite a big plant this one, strong smelling, and when it's flowering makes beautiful little button-like yellow flowers. For the longest time I actually battled to get tansy going, and I believe a lot of people will laugh at me for that because tansy can actually become quite weedy, taking over areas, so be careful where you plant it. It spreads very happily from the root system, making new little plants all along the base, and once it sets flower and seed it can also go everywhere. But a beautiful plant, very nice ferny structure to it. And yeah, used in the olden days medicinally. It was even used in food as a flavoring for omelettes, but mostly used just as an insect repellent these days, either in the garden or strewn in cupboards or around the house. Right, so those who know me know that I'm a little bit of a tomato freak, especially the heirloom tomatoes. I just love all the different colors, the different shapes, the different tastes, the different growth habits that they come in. And I've planted about 40 different varieties this year in my own garden. I grow more than that for my nursery, but only had space for 40, and I'm hoping to save seed from them this year. And I'm quite happy with how they've progressed so far. We are on the 24th of November today, and I've already got some fruit that's starting to color. So just a bit of a little boast post, I guess, and I'm going to have a look at some of the different tomatoes that are starting to fruit. I've got some beautiful bloody butchers going here. The fruit are still small, but forming nicely in a cluster. And just behind that is one of my favorites, a French heirloom called Marmande. And that ripens to a bright red, big beefsteak type tomato. And it's got those beautiful ribs, just slightly ribbed, not as much as the Costoluto, but still beautiful. Marmande. That cluster is banana legs. It's the first year I'm growing banana legs as well. Very excited to have these guys forming. Some white cherry tomatoes and some black cherry tomatoes. Black cherry tomatoes. Then I have tomato, which was one of my most prolific bearing plants last year, and that's a little red cherry type tomato. The popular Australian heirloom, I believe, tomato. And right now I guess I'm most excited about my black pear tomato, which is actually starting to show some color, turning from green to a deep red. Eventually it's going to go almost mahogany color. And just about showing some blush as well is the Thai pink egg, light pink colored, a little bit bigger than a cocktail tomato, Thai pink egg. And these little jewels are currant tomatoes, and they really are small, itty bitty little tomatoes, smaller than a cherry tomato. That's my finger. That one is probably almost fully grown in size, and now they just need to ripen up. My kids call them fairy tomatoes. Many more tomato posts coming on 5 at 5 on a Friday as the tomatoes ripen and as I use them in my food. I'm happy to show them off to everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of 5 at 5 on a Friday. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new, and we'll see you back next week for more exciting things in my garden. And do remember to go have a look at the blog posts that's associated with each episode of 5 at 5. There's a little bit more information on every plant that we talk about and growing conditions and how to use them.